I see people are trickling in. Very good. It's been a hectic, intense 2 days. Starter litt på norsk I forhold til denne siste sesjonen. Vi har da besøk fra Estland. Estland et land som mange kanskje hevder litt lenger enn halvveis til fremtiden. I'm pleased to welcome Taavi Kotka. Kotka is Government CIO, Deputy Secretary General ICT at the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications in Estonia. He was awarded Europe's Best CIO in 2014. And he will tell us how Estonia has been developed to an advanced user of ICT in public sector and what happens if everything is paperless and digital. Taavi?
So, yes, welcome, hi. Sorry, there is 2 ways to carry this speech. One is in English, another way is in Estonian, so I think you prefer English. Yes, Estonia. First of all, thank you for inviting me here. And especially for you who actually has stayed for the last session. Actually, I was afraid there will be only me and my colleague and a couple of our friends, but there is actually more. Thank you for this. We all have the Oslo flight to catch at 5, so we see you there also. My speech today is... I'm going to talk about what happens if everything is digital. If there is no paper anymore in any procedures, and how it actually influences countries' security, how it influences how countries actually act, and what kind of new benefits it brings, or actually has brought to Estonia. So, paperless. Everybody wants to go and be paperless. Efficient, maximum efficient. Companies want to be paperless, governments want to be paperless. Let's go digital. Let's offer services to citizens over the internet. Let's put them to use like mobile phones, etc. Like, let's be closer to the citizen, let's be closer to customers, let's be digital. It has been also a goal for Estonia. For us, the main problem is that, we are not the richest country in the world, and also we don't have too many people. So for us it was only choice to be digital. We are not able to afford a real person in every office, in every city in Estonia. So the only way to actually provide meaningful services, both in public sector or private sector, you had to push your people to self-serve themselves. And currently we have reached a position that we are paper-free. Not in everywhere, but mostly. And in some cases it troubles me. Just giving you one example. The question is about digital continuity. After 1991, Estonia broke apart from Soviet Union. We reformed our republic again. Estonia was a richer country than Finland before Second World War, but then our development stopped for 50 years, and then we started again. So first thing, when you start, there's the continuity question. Who are your citizens? Who are the citizens of Estonia? Normal question. So we had a rule that if you were able to prove that your grandmother or grandfather is Estonian, and you speak Estonian, you got your citizenship. So how you prove that your grandmother or grandfather is Estonian? You open up an old church book, yeah, that's my grandmother. Or you go to the archives and show, here's the paper saying, stating that this is my grandmother. And I speak Estonian, so, okay, I get my citizenship. The next reform, what Estonia did, was the land reform. As you know, Soviet Union nationalized everything. I mean, like, if your grandfather, for example, owned a farm or a manor or apartment or building in Estonia, the Soviet Union, government basically took it away. And it's a continuity question. We wanted to restore the situation that actually was before occupation. It's a question of continuity. So if you were able to prove, using, again, old archive materials that, for example, this or that farm belonged to your grandfather, you got it back. The government gave it back to you. So that's the continuity question. Now, let's go back to the current year. In Estonia, most of the main registries only act and happen in digital format. For example, the same thing, the land registry. So it means that even if you have a printout that states that, for example, this or that building belongs to you, but I have in my registry a different information, in court I win. Because the law says that everything that is digitally in that register, that's right information. The rest might be faked. True, I mean, it's quite easy to fake a physical signature, for example. It's way easier to fake physical signature than a digital one. So it's obvious that, like, yeah, the digital registry is more important. But now think, if this registry only appears in digital format, and now there is a huge cyber attack, like huge cyber attack, and that registry is gone. We don't have any archives anymore. There is no paper proof that you actually own that farm. It's basically, yeah, let's go to the core. I think it's now it's mine. So do you understand the problem? I mean, like, being digital, if something bad happens, there's no way back. And for Estonia, there is no way back. I mean, like, as I said, I mean, like, being digital is the only way we actually can operate, because we have lots of land and not too many people. Like you in Norway, if you like count and look the land area you have. I mean, like, so for example, in our bank sector, 98% of all the money transactions are done like using e-banking, or the same with services. So basically all the banks have closed their physical offices. So for example, if e-banking is not working, we will have a huge mess in Estonia, because the physical network is not able to serve the people anymore. So we are dependent. We are heavily dependent that everything that we have, like all these digital fancy things, they have to work. So, okay, yeah, you build your stuff. I mean, like, that's the very famous X-road, the silver bullet to everything you have heard several times. Actually, this is a picture for politicians. I mean, like, everything is digital in Estonia. The real picture is actually this. You laugh, but just to be sure, this is not a spaghetti. We actually have full control and full overview of what happens in our systems. Everything is registered. We fully know, like, what is the piece or line or a green dot here, like what it's meant to be, and what's inside there. So, but again, you run your country's digital infrastructure. You know that if it's somehow crashed, attacked physically or like in virtually, Estonia will be in deep, I cannot say that word, started S, but in a deep problem. So what we're going to do? What's the solution? I mean, like, of course, I mean, like, here in Norway you think like, yeah, like only attack can be a virtual one. I mean, like, that's obviously. But for us, I mean, like, during the Crimea events, basically until Mr. Obama spoke in Tallinn, we were actually quite nervous. I mean, like, being occupied is not is not a new thing for Estonia. It has happened quite lately. So, and this might happen again. I mean, like, our country can be occupied again. I mean, like, nobody starts work for free because 1.3 million people, like, be normal. So, and we had that kind of spirit of feeling until Obama spoke. But okay, let's forget for a while this physical attack potential. But like cyber attack, we have had a cyber war with Russia in 2007, and it was a heavy war. I mean, like several days attacks from Russia. Yes, they only took down just a couple of services for half an hour in the end of the day, but our systems were influenced, so there was a problem. So, and whenever, I mean, like, I think every country does so-called like data center consolidation, and let's make it more and more efficient. I mean, like, in the end of the day, Estonia is good enough if we have like 3-4 different data centers. So quite easy to attack these 3 or 4 data centers, take them down. So how are we going to, like, so the digital continuity issue is important. So how are we going to deal with that? So, I mean, like, the audience, obviously, you are more or less IT guys, all, you do backups. I mean, like, if you need to guarantee continuity, you do backups. I mean, like, if you don't want to lose your family photos, you do a backup. I mean, like, you use Dropbox or whatever. I mean, like, you do backups. So the same thing, we have done it, I mean, it's 8-9 years. We keep the data outside from Estonia, just in case. Like, whatever happens with Estonia, whatever happens with Estonian territory or data centers, what we have there, we have, for continuity purposes, we have data available. So we always, I mean, like, even if we will be occupied again after 70 years, we will sing ourselves free again, like we did 1989, 1991. So yeah, of course we will do that, but then we were able to put things back. And we have used, for example, like public clouds for this. I mean, like, Amazon Cloud has been partner for us since 2009. But we also, of course, critical data is not kept in public town, or sensitive data is not kept in public cloud. So, because yeah, we all know, I mean, like, why it's not kept there. I mean, like, sorry. So, knowing that these public clouds actually leaking, Estonia uses physical embassies. I mean, like, we have an embassy in Washington, D.C. It's quite big. We have special rooms for computers, and we keep our data there. So, but it's not enough. I mean, like, the physical embassies are actually not meant to be for data. The physical embassies are actually meant to be for people. So people most probably doesn't need double electricity, double air conditioning, double internet, or if the embassy is actually under heavy cyber attack, AT&T, who provides services, for example, for our embassy in DC, most probably just turns down, or like turns off Estonian embassy IP just to calm down the network. So like one IP versus all the others, it's an obvious choice. Let's close down the boring one. So yeah, so that's not enough. So we have started to build the network of not only like physical embassies or reconstructed embassies for data, but also being part of, for example, UK government cloud. So you can imagine a data center in UK. I don't know the location. And there is a 12 square meter area marked with the yellow line. And inside that area, computers, inside that area, that's Estonian embassy. So diplomatic immunity, you can't touch these computers. So, and we run this, and we keep our data there. So, and it's important to understand that we only don't keep the backup data there, but also live services. I mean, like, just to give you one example, State Gazette. State Gazette is an application that involves or includes all our law. I mean, like, we don't have printed law. It's pointless because, for example, this year, 85% of our all laws has been changed at least a little bit. So how we print out, like no, there was a change, so let's have a new printout, new printout, new print. It's impossible. So in our case, it only happens in digital format, and if that state cassette, if this doesn't work, basically there's no law. Can there be a country without a law? The state cassette people say it can't. We argue, but they say no. But so what it means, I mean, like this service has to be up and running all the time, whatever happens. Or let's take a more complex example. We have national ID. We have national ID that both sectors actually use, private and public sector. And we have one, not four. One is better than four. Sorry about that remark. And that ID, yeah, it's level 4 PKI based, gives you authentication, authorization capabilities. So everybody uses that. Not everybody, but like majority of people are using it. So I mean, I have to admit, I don't have any pill calculator or like code card anymore in my pocket. And if the government provided infrastructure is not working, I mean, actually, it's backed up. I mean, we have ID card and we have mobile ID, like you here. Like, so the mobile ID is actually a backup situation. But if both of these things are not working, for example, green man run to our border city, take over the first police station, and run a script that basically cancels all the certificates that are in our databases. Somehow. It's a possible scenario. Poof. Not able to access any application in Estonia. Not able to sign digitally. Basically, we are down. I mean, like, Estonia is down. I mean, like, we have to start doing things physically. And like I said, the network of physical network is not capable anymore to basically start serving people on paper. It's impossible for us. So we need to back up these kind of services. But with a digital signature and an ID, from the technology point of view, there can be only one situation. I mean, like, it works in this location or that location. It cannot work on both locations. So it means that if you kill this one, you actually have to kill it. I mean, like, completely, delete, and you open up in the other place. So we need to have like infrastructure that is capable to survive under heavy cyber attacks, or is able we are able to actually run 24/7. So that's why this concept of data embassies is so important for us. And actually, we are not using only this UK example or our physical embassies, but we also work with virtual embassies. We have a pilot at the moment, building together with Microsoft, because you need virtual embassies if you are in a run. I mean, like, if you have limited time for going out or going to the cloud, you need virtual embassies. Because with physical embassies, if you need to scale, you need to add hardware, physical hardware. So it takes time to actually do that. I mean, like, ordering a new computer, it might take 2 weeks. I mean, like, but in a virtual embassy case, it's like automatic. You just like add a couple of clicks and you have like 20 new virtual machines. Yep. So Estonia goes to the cloud for 2 purposes. One is the digital continuity thing, to guarantee digital continuity. That's important. And 2, like, national security. And it doesn't have to be green men or somebody from the east. I mean, like, it might be a cyber attack. So if everything is digital, your society is so dependent on IT that if you actually hit the core, you might crack the society. So that's why we have this. That's why we deal with these kind of things. But this also opens up a quite new perspective. I mean, like, what if Estonia is occupied? Can we still act as a country in a cloud? I mean, like, what it means to define a country. Have you ever defined a country? We can do this example together. I mean, like, what do you need to create a country? I mean, like, you have a plan. You are like a rich man in Silicon Valley, and you want to create your own country. What do you need?
Usually land, I mean, a geographical area.
No. No. First of all, you need people. There has to be somebody with you who actually wants to be with you in that country. I mean, you need people. That's the only thing you need. You need people because, I mean, like, people who share some kind of common values or like some common goal. Most probably, like, mostly, you are in the same nation. I mean, like, so you need people. Yes, some definitions say that you need land, but let's just give you one example. There is one country belonging to the United Nations that doesn't have any land. It's Knights of Malta. They don't have any land, but they operate as a country in the United Nations. So, so land is actually not needed. But if you create a democratic country, first of all, you need these people that are with you. They have to be able to vote, basically. Okay, we have iVoting, the thing you cancelled, and I cannot understand why you dropped it. So we have had it since 2005. We had next ones again next year, so it will be like 9th or 10th times when we elect over the internet. It works. This spring, 30% of voters voted over the internet. We got votes from 98 different countries, Estonians being in 98 different countries, voting over the internet. So basically, you can be a global citizen, but at the same time you can be an Estonian. So you actually don't need, I mean, like, a person in Silicon Valley, he doesn't need like physical territory to be an Estonian, because in here he believes that he's Estonian. And that's what matters. I mean, like, that was mattered, for example, for Jews before the country of Israel was born. 1947, 48. They act as a nation before Israel. They even collected taxes. Somehow. Yeah. So, it's here what matters, actually. So, you have to be able to vote. Your parliament, I mean, like, if you have iVoting, then it's location independent. Our parliament is able to work location independent. They don't have to gather in one room. They can work location independent. So we actually can have a parliament meetings in a way where like 20 guys are in Toronto, 2 in New York, 2 in Sydney. Of course, it's a problem with time zones, but yeah, it's possible. The same with the cabinet. They are also able to work location independent because of wide usage of digital signature. E-taxation, the same like you have. E-justice, e-notary. So that's all there. I mean, like, we are able to register our births, we are able to register our deaths, we are able to give out documents location independent. So, if everything is location independent, who needs location? Don't get me wrong, I mean, like, I love my country and I totally agree that Estonia has to have that land, and Estonia will protect the land until the last piece of blood, but of course we do that. But I mean, like, just thinking, theoretically. I mean, like, is it possible to run a country in a cloud? And our answer is that it actually is. And we actually already do that. I mean, like, there are like Estonians all over the world, and they are using Estonian services, Estonian government services. So, but if territory is not important anymore, and I mean, like, you are able to serve your own people all around the world, can you become a bigger country? I mean, like, we have 1.3 million Estonians. So, yeah, quite a small nation. Why not 10 billion? 10 million? 10 million? Why not? I mean, like, our economy has significantly decreased during the last 9 months because the Russian market is off. Russia was the number 8 business partner for Estonia. Now they are off, so our market has decreased. So if we want to create a better life to our people, we should increase our economy. To increase your economy, to increase your revenue, the main way, what you should do, increase your customer base. more leads may end up with more projects. I mean, like, increase the customer base. So, okay, what's our chances? Reproduction. Okay, let's start doing babies. That's the possibility to get 10 million. I mean, like, in Egypt, every year the population of Egypt increases 1.3 million, 1.5 million people every year. Population of Egypt grows. With us, these are actually my children. So, yeah. Actually, this was, no, that's actually not, in our case, it's not a plan. I mean, like, it's impossible. So, the second chance, the thing, even you have parted on, immigration. UK, Germany, they have heavily benefited from immigration to increase your customer base, bring in more people. There we have a competition, Estonia versus Sweden and Norway. We are basically, Tallinn is the same latitude with Oslo. And I think, I mean, like, the potential immigrant, if he looks to the north and sees that, okay, they all have that bad weather, so it's Tallinn here, it's Oslo here, Oslo has way better social benefits, what could be the choice here? Obviously, they will go and then be part of your society. So, we have lost that battle already. I mean, like, we have actually a limit, how many immigrants there can be in Estonia. That limit is 1,200 immigrants every year. We have never reached that level. Even when we sold living permits to Russians, even then, we never reached that limit. So, and we're actually losing almost 5,000 people every year, like, to Finland, Norway, Sweden, Germany. So that's negative trend anyway. So, I mean, like, if the Mohammed doesn't want to come to the mountain, the only way we can proceed is that the mountain has to go to the Mohammed. And that's the plan. I mean, like, that's the plan what we have at the moment in Estonia. Keeping in mind that we are able to serve Estonians all around the world already now, because everything is location independent and digital. So, can we increase our number of people? So, we have introduced this year a new program called Estonian e-residency. Our parliament has agreed with all the laws, changes of the laws. President signed it last week, so we are officially there, we are ready. And starting from 1st of December, Estonia will start give out secure digital identity to anybody. I mean, like, if you want to be part of our society, if you want to be part of our actually, like, digital environment, become Estonian e-resident. So what it means? It basically means that this is not a citizenship, so you don't have a voting right. But basically the rest, it's open. I mean, like, if, for example, if you are a businessman in Indonesia, you have a, like, tailoring company and you do suits, and you want to sell them in European Union. Just random example. Now, if you have Estonian e-residency, you have the secure digital identity, you can actually open up a company, open up a bank account in Estonia over the internet, but still live in Jakarta, in Indonesia. So you live wherever you want to live, like better climate, close to your company, whatever. But you use that environment for accessing that market. Because if you open up a company in Estonia, you actually don't open up a company in Estonia, you open up a company in EU. And as we all have, like, common IBAN system, then basically there's no difference, like, what bank you are using. And to incentive that, I mean, like, Estonia doesn't play with taxes like Ireland or Luxembourg. We don't offer, like, special deals for outsiders to motivate the capital inside. We just have one benefit: there is no corporate income tax. zero. We only tax when you take the money out. I mean, like, as long as you keep the money inside the company, as long as you reinvest your money in that company, we don't tax you. We only tax you when you take the money out. So when you take out the profit, basically, then it's dividend tax, and it's 20%. So that's very simple taxation system. What it means is that, when like, if you think about Luxembourg or like Switzerland or like other places where you actually can buy a company, there's always somebody between. I mean, like, if you buy a company in those kind of countries, you actually have to hire a person from the country who does all the accounting part, all the government transactions, etc. So we would like to avoid that. I mean, like, we actually, I think in May next year, we are in a situation where if your business doesn't involve any cash, it's only bank transactions. I mean, like, this Jakarta guy, he has an e-shop for selling suits, and he does his own logistics. So everything happens like in a digital way, bank transactions. Then if there's no cash involved, you don't have to report anything to the tax and custom. Your bank is actually taking care of that. And that might be interesting. I mean, that might, we already know, we have done already studies that this is interesting for foreigners. Having a company inside the European Union where you actually have full control by yourself through e-banking and e-government tools, full control by yourself, you don't hire anybody. And no cost for government transactions. I mean, like, yearly reports, tax reports, everything automatic. We had an early bird landing page where you had to register yourself and say, like, do you want to become an Estonian resident? First 24 hours, more than 6,000 people registered. Cool. So, yeah. So my point is that, I don't know, that's the thing they get actually. That's the secure digital identity. People have different reasons, and then my honest answer is, actually, I don't know why they want to become, like, in the end of the day, and where they're going to use it. They have to accept the thing that we also collect their biometrics to give this out, and they will be part of very transparent society. So if you want to scam with taxes or something, you better not do that, because as everything is digital, it's very easy for us to actually share this information, for example, with the US taxation department. So if you have a clear mind or clear purpose, you want to do business in the European Union, yes, that's your chance. Yes, and we have, like, better and better tools for that. So all in all, I mean, like, the thing that we worked with our digital continuity, the thing that we worked with the idea that can there be a country without territory, or country actually without borders for everybody, will just end up with a new pilot. So let's see if Estonia can become the, like, even bigger country than Norway. I mean, like, if we have 10 million, we are bigger than you, right? Okay. Actually, the challenge is smaller. I mean, like, even if we could attract only 10,000 new companies, I mean, like, okay, 10,000 new people who form a company. Currently, Estonia has around 30,000 active companies. So having 10,000 extra basically means 1/3 more. And that's quite reasonable goal. I mean, like, that's not a bad goal. And that's the thing. I mean, like, being digital, having all these digital formats can be a thing that makes Estonia. I mean, I don't want to compare ourselves to Luxembourg, but my point is that because it's not a tax paradise, it's like a hassle-free country, and companies and people who wants to have a hassle-free environment, okay, use Estonia from distance. It might work. And historically, it actually had worked. I mean, like, state of Delaware is the place where basically all the Fortune 500 companies are registered, or actually incorporated. That's the correct term. Coca-Cola, Facebook, Apple, all of these are actually incorporated in Delaware. Why? because Delaware has the best corporate law in the world. I mean, like in any country, you never know if, for example, if your CEO betrays the investors, what will be the outcome in court. I mean, like, it depends of the quality of the judge, the quality of defenders, lawyers, etc. So you never know. But you know always what happens in Delaware, because they have had that like strong corporate law with all different court cases already more than 120 years. So they are experienced. So you can predict, and you can be sure that you actually like protect it. And that's why they are all incorporating themselves in Delaware. And it means that even though like the headquarters of Coca-Cola is in Atlanta, actually, the headquarters of Apple, Silicon Valley, the headquarters of Facebook, Silicon Valley. So most of Estonian famous startups, they're all in Delaware, but actually in Estonia. So what it means that having this strong and trustable corporate law gives 20% revenue, like state budget, extra. So 20% of Delaware revenue comes from franchise taxes they get because the company is actually incorporated there. Switzerland introduced a bank law, 1934, that declared that the information sharing between a banker and the customer is as secret as between doctor and patient. That's quite famous law. So the so famous Swiss bank secret law. Of course, US turned that law down now. I think it was 2012 or 2011. But basically, they had almost a century to create one of the greatest countries in the world, Switzerland. Luxembourg copied that and added tax incentives. Ireland, when they were in a bad shape, they started to play with taxes and got out from the bad situation. I mean, like Apple, Google, they all saved billions of dollars because they used Ireland as a tax paradise. So everybody, I mean, like, there's a war out there between countries. Estonia has no chance against Norway, for example, if you talk about immigration. You have way better country with way better social benefits, and then we will lose that war. So everybody looks for their own niche, and that's where we aim. Hassle-free country that can be your host, and you can be part of that society whenever you live. Just having Estonian secure digital identity and having these great digital services. And, important, I mean, like, would you invest to Ukraine today? East Ukraine, would you invest today? Why? There's no war. There is just Russian army volunteers helping locals. There's no war. Why you don't invest there? You're afraid of your own money. Yeah, you might lose that. So if you live in the US, would you invest to Estonia, a country next to that not should be named? Would you invest? I think no. So now we have sort of a third thing, why to create these virtual embassies and data embassies. Because it's an extra guarantee that whatever happens there, your money, your company, your property is safe. Because we keep it outside also, as a backup. Actually, we can discuss it later with the professor. It actually creates a totally new type of questions. I mean, like, for example, if Estonian embassy in Oslo is under attack, your government they need to protect it. Your police and military, they should protect it. But for example, if I open up a virtual embassy here in Norway, just buy service from you, how that diplomatic immunity is guaranteed? I mean, like, if the data center is cyber attacked heavily, will you come and help? Or is it my problem? So yeah, these kind of interesting questions they raise. So yeah, all in all, becoming Estonians already now. Not today, but just 1 month to go. So technically we are there. The question is, you have to find like why it's good for you. For example, the economist people, the first card will go to Edward Lucas. The economist people have said that they all will have it because it also gives you secure data exchange. I mean, like you can email each other securely, so nobody can actually crack this message. So that can be a service. The card works in other European countries also, where there is a how to say standardized PKI with digital signature platforms available. Actually, yeah. So in Austria, in Portugal, Holland, Belgium. So if you are, for example, a South German entrepreneur, you live in Munich, but you actually you have an active business in Austria. Your own government doesn't issue secure digital identity. Okay? Take the Estonian one and do business with Austria. So they actually don't have any connection with Estonia, and you use it in a different way, but somehow you still are part of our e-society. So yeah, I think I gave you some new ideas where all this digitalization may end up. There are, of course, millions of problems, millions of ways how to like construct very bad scenarios, but also there's a huge potential. And I hope that Estonia will be able to turn this potential in benefit of our country's welfare and richness and all other words. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to give you this picture. This is painted or made, you might say, by one of my colleagues at the university. So we have also IT professors and we have art professors here. And probably you need some physical wall to hang it up on. And hopefully if someone tries to steal it, break into your house, that you can call someone that will protect you, that there is a society that help you to ensure your safety, for instance, which is also an important part of what a government should do. So it's not necessarily given that all things can be virtual. We are still physical.
Yeah, that's true. So,
and we have to be somewhere, and we want to be protected by someone that comes. As you say, as you kind of pointed to, if you have these virtual embassies, and who will kind of make sure that is taken care of.
Yeah. So main point was that you actually have to have these kind of virtual embassies if you rely on IT so much. And I mean, like, you might face the same kind of problems if you start to rely on IT so much as we do. We haven't actually. We didn't have a choice, as I said. Like, but yeah.
One thing, just to I know you're heading off to the airport. You have a few minutes. I mean, someone might have kind of envied your situation in a way when you got independent, because you didn't have all this legacy. On the other hand, this is 20-some years ago. So now I guess you have been able to develop some legacy. And how do you handle the, say, IT legacy from the early years? Kind of more, this is more kind of IT technical.
Okay. First of all, yes, you are absolutely right that we basically started 20 years ago. But one thing is different compared with you. Estonia is not a rich country, so we have to be careful with our IT budget and investments. So we analyzed what is the situation in Nordics with different kind of spendings and where we actually spend their money. I mean, like, for example, we have compared that Estonian government ICT budget is around 30-40 times smaller compared with Finland, and around 120 times smaller compared with Norway. Depends of the number you choose. You have different numbers stating your government IT budget. So, but the difference between countries is not so huge. Like, difference between countries is not 120 times. And actually, it's in IT world, so digital world, countries are actually same size. We both need the same kind of functionalities. It can't be so that in our e-bank we just can, like, we can just look our account balance, but you as a rich country, you can also like transfer money and you can buy stock, etc. Or like in our hospital, we only register our patients, and the next step is mortuary. But in Norway, it's a rich country and bigger country, so we can actually afford more functionalities. It's not so. I mean, like we have to have same kind of functionalities. So actually, the cost per transaction is actually higher in smaller countries compared with people, countries with more people. So, but the point is that most of your money goes to maintenance, dealing with this legacy. So, to fight back, we have no legacy policy. So, we force houses to rewrite their stuff. I mean, like, it's not an official policy yet, but we have introduced that, and that many companies and many public institutions actually follow that already now. Is that you cannot have a critical or meaningful information system that is older than 13 years, 1-3. You actually have to rewrite that. Yeah. So yeah, that's one thing. And actually, it's way easier to do it from scratch. So instead of having this MacGyver tape and then trying to fix every old system, and again, I know that this kind of policy has been a bad practice in Norway. You have had some backup, like backfires, but yeah, for us it works, and it has been able to keep our country developed from digital point of view with very limited and very minimum ICT budget. It's around 50 million euros per year. All the costs, all the salaries, all the investments and maintenance costs, all in all, 50 million euros. Yeah, and yeah. So.
Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. Ja, skal jeg prøve å switche til norsk og ta avslutningen, hvis vi får opp den siste. Det som selvfølgelig de som er igjen her nå lurer på akkurat hvem som har vunnet utstillerkvisten, og det er Mathias Aamodt, FSAT, vet ikke jeg faktisk hva er for noe, men sånn kan det gå. Hvis Mathias er her, eller noen av hans venner, så kan denne premien hentes i sekretariatet. Det kommer til slutten, det er fint at det er mange igjen. Jeg synes det er veldig interessant å høre, og det er veldig viktig å kunne lære av andre land hvordan de gjør det, selv om man kanskje har litt andre rammebetingelser og sånn, men det er klart at det er ikke gitt, han mener at vi har så mye penger til IT. Jeg vet ikke om alle er enig i det, i forhold til det de har lyst til å gjøre, så vi må jo også ta lure grep og prioritere. Nokios har jo vært og er et samarbeid mellom mange partnere, noen vi har jobbet veldig mye med, og opp igjennom er jo Difi, og Difi har jo sin, kan du si, egen digitaliseringskonferanse, som vi da vi samarbeider og putter på litt forskjellige tider av året. Mange av oss er jo på begge for seg. Neste digitaliseringskonferanse er 16. og 17. juni neste år. Også på Operaen. Jeg fikk dessverre ikke vært der i år. Jeg vet det er enkelte som i vårt community som er operasangere av utdanning. Jeg skal ikke røpe noe, men det er kanskje andre ting enn å synge når jeg da skal høre på Operaen. Så det siste jeg da skal si, før vi sier farvel, er da Nokios 2015. Tilsvarende tid, 27-29. oktober 2015. Antar det blir her, så det var alt for denne gang, han har sagt. Vel hjem.